Well, Merry Christmas to you, Rob. You've probably had a good one. Just looking ahead to this weekend, you're going to build off what was a great, hard-fought win over Bath last weekend, but Saracens, the ultimate test, isn't it?
Well, it is, isn't it? I mean, they are the form, and I said form team. They lost last week, but you look at their results so far this season. They've been the one consistent team, really, in the Premiership, and I think it shows how consistent they've been, and with kind of how far they've moved up the table away from nearly everybody else, who's kind of all massively within one win of each other. That's exciting for us because it means we're still in the chase towards the top end of the table, but obviously we're very aware our performance levels are going to have to be good to get anything up at Saracens. They've shown a massive amount of consistency across this season again. It's what they're kind of known for, and we're going to have to be very good across the 80 minutes. We can't have the patches like we did in that middle third against Bath where we lose direction, we lose way and give away territory. We just have to be better and more on it than we were last week.
You called it a definitive month ahead, with 3 massive Premiership games and then back into Europe. But you've started it well. It's a case of, as you say, building on that now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think you've got to look at it. This is our away fixture, and we can get some points from this game. And I think we're going to a couple of home fixtures, maybe even 3 if the block of Premiership games. That's where you've got to aim to get some consistency and climb the table. This one it's slightly different because obviously it's such a big challenge, but also then it's away from home. But then we get into this group of games where we've got some excitement in around Europe and some home fixtures, and we've got to really decide how good we want to be in this block. And if we decide we want to be really good in this block, then good things can happen for us, but we've got to kind of make that decision as a group and fully commit to it. And I know that sounds silly because it's like, well, surely that's an easy thing for a team to do. That's what good teams do. They look at each other and they all decide right from the go how good they're going to be, what they're going to do, how they're going to commit to their bits and pieces. Because often, especially for us as a team, it's when our players are all zoned down and focused on themselves and their responsibilities and their roles that we are very good. It's actually when they start to look around and think about doing a bit too much or think ahead or think back that we start to lose our direction a bit. So the important thing for us is to just zone in on the here and now and jobs and responsibilities right here and now. First
half was very good. Second half, when you look at it, I'd imagine you saw a lot of fight in your side, the defensive aspect. As you say, there was patches as well where it broke off.
It was one of those frustrating games where when we had to really fight, we could. So in our 22, we were exceptional. I mean, we've only conceded 15 points. I think we're the second best defensive team in the Premiership. So we know when we have to stand and fight, and we're very good at it. But that middle third of the pitch, that's how you have to be in the middle third, and then we would have completely controlled the game. But if you look at that middle third, we gave away the ball. They had scrum put-ins. Some of those led to penalties. We conceded some penalties, sometimes with the ball, sometimes without the ball. So all Bath's field possession came from what we got wrong, really, in that middle third. Now, when we're very good, and one of our big strengths has been control of the middle third, and something we're talking a lot more about now as coaches about, come on, let's really zone in on this middle third. When we have to fight, when you have to stand there, the try line's right behind you. At the moment, we're exceptional. We're tough to break down that section. We've got to stop giving teams the entry into there and make that middle third where we're really, really hot, because that will give us all the pressure, all the entries, keep teams under that unrelenting pressure that often makes teams wilt. So that middle third is going to be the key for us going forward this season.
Sat next to you in the stands, you're getting frustrated with soft penalties, as I call them, where ones were holding on. You're probably, I think, the top for doing that at the moment in the league. Is that something you're chatting to the lads about? That you've got to be around that breakdown, really hitting it.
That's what I'm talking about. It's that responsibility, because when you're the ball carrier and you're the one or two closest people, the only thing that matters is us keeping that ball. That is it. Now, whether that's you decide to kick, pass, carry, you've got responsibilities when you're on the ball, and we're getting some of those decision wrong. Then also when we're making those things, we can sometimes be a little bit inaccurate. So some passes were going to floor, or poor passes were going to floor. As a perfect example, we didn't kick when we should have kicked a few times and got caught. But then also when we're carrying, you've got to have that responsibility that you're going to fight to stay on your feet, you're going to gain those metres, you're going to present the ball strongly, and then the guys nearby, the only thing that matters is them being in that tackle area before the opposition get opportunities. And I think what you're seeing is when we're very good, and I think we did it really, really well at Cass, because we massively focused on it before we went to Cass. They were the top winning turnover team in the top 14, so we had a huge focus on it, and we were very, very good. Yes, we got penalised a couple of times, but the zone in and the speed of what we were doing there, and that just dropped off a couple of occasions against Bath, and it hurt us. And it gave them those entries into our 22, and then we're under pressure, and there's a more try. And really, that is a frustration for me, because we can deal with that. We're better than that. That said, and I'm going to wrap it all up, I think it's very important that we didn't train as a team, I don't think, on any one day of last week in the run into Christmas, because we had a no amount of flu and viruses. You know, I mean, everyone knows what's going on at the moment. You know, it's the same for every group of people. And we were even making changes the day before the game to the bench. So, you know, there were multiple changes happened through the week. No proper group training session could take place with everybody available. And actually we toughed through it. And we toughed through it with quite a few guys on the field who were either starting to suffer, were right in the middle of it, or were in the tail end of it. And I think that, to me, is why, as a coaching group, we've not tried to talk too much about all the detail of what we can do going into Saracens, because we know they toughed it out and they got a very important 4 points for us. And now we're moving on. We've had a really nice, short, sharp training week this week, focused very much on ourselves. Talked about the things we need to talk about, but actually got the players to take some responsibility for leading the way this week, and we'll see what the outcome will be against Saracens.
You kind of know what's coming from Sarries, but they are playing a slightly different game now. Their game plan is changed from what we call traditional Sarries. What do you do to combat it?
They are attacking a little more, and they're certainly counter-attacking a little more, but you know, you can counter-attack a little more when you create the pressure that Saracens create with sensible kicking, good set piece. You know, the key is for us is very much to deal with this like almost like kind of get our mentality around those top European games. You know, your forwards, there is nothing else that matters when the referee calls a scrum. There is nothing else that matters when the referee calls a line out. That is it. That's our sole focus. It's the same as we just said down around the breakdown. When the breakdown is near you, that is it. And we'll move on to the next part of the game. And I think that's the key, is let's do one thing at a time. Let's be very good at the thing that's right there in front of us, and let's keep adding those together. And we'll see where we get to over 80 minutes. When we're zoned in like that, that's when we tend to be our best, and that's what we've got to focus on again.
Team news wise, how are you looking, Rob?
Usual stuff, you know, bumps and bruises and coughs and colds this week. You know, it's been a bit of a mix and match training week again, for that reason. But we're, like I said, as we're getting through the week, we're narrowing things down a bit. We've still got a couple of guys we'd like to be available and unavailable. We have got one or two guys who picked up some pretty big bangs against Bath. But overall, the squad looks strong. You know, it's a strong squad, well capable of playing good rugby, and that's what we've got to focus on.
Final one, when you reflect on 2022, this will be your last game. How do you reflect on this past 12 months?
Well, it's changed, isn't it? Because when you have that period of being in the top two of the Premiership for such a long period of time, it is a little bit, does feel a little odd when you're not there. But at the same time, I think people would be surprised how many chats we've had about the excitement of bringing in young players, new players, seeing if older players can reinvent themselves, dealing with the challenges that of both the financial situation around rugby and the salary covering. For me, because one of the joys or the loves or the satisfactions I get is building squads and building teams and watching them develop and seeing individuals grow. There's quite a lot of nice, exciting things happening. And I know that might sound weird because, as you said, you sit next to me and you see what I'm doing in the match day and how tough it can be watching you not perform at your actual best. But I actually said to a few players, a few people after the game who kind of said, well, good winning against Bath, but we can play better, can't we? And I actually said to them, look, when those 6 seasons when we finished in the top two, can you remember any of the 3-point wins and the 5-point wins and the times we just scraped through? And most people couldn't remember any of them. Well, there was a lot of them, and we just dealt with them through the season, and they collected very important points for us, and then we grew, and you got excited, and you could feel the excitement building. That's what we've got to use that Bath game for. It was there, we collected some important points, it's keeping us in the right half of the table. Now we've got to keep doing that through the season, and let's see how the excitement can build, now the squad can build, now the group can build, and now the senior players can take charge, and the young players can grow. All of that is where we want to go, and last year, the years just passed, will be a huge part of that. And so, you know, I don't look back on that last part with any dissatisfaction, because that might be the defining thing that lets Exeter, helps or guides Exeter winning the Premiership again. You know, this might be the period. This period when some senior players decided to leave, but we managed to sign some exciting young players. Some guys have got experience, some guys are a year older. This might be the period when we look back, it was the most defining period for us. And that's what I intend it to be.